Warning: graphic images of pest control. Do not watch if you might be offended. Welcome back to the Norfolk Squirrel channel. This session was shot about 10 days after the previous Baker's Dozen. Once again, hadn't shot this feeder since probably October last year, but when walking around there were a fair number of squirrels in evidence, so I decided to give it a go. Wasn't too happy with this first shot. In actual fact, when I went out, the squirrel was lying dead behind the tree, but I just wasn't confident with it. So I had to go on the spinner just to check, and I think that suggests that there's a problem with the magazine not functioning properly, because there's no way the first shot was a miss. Squirrel number 2 came along reasonably quickly after the first one. Despite using the thermal scanner, I don't think I actually picked up one squirrel coming in using the scanner. They just appeared like ghosts out of nowhere. I thought that shot was spot on, but evidently it wasn't, because this squirrel's still kicking around. Definitely needs a follow-up shot. Once again, it would appear that the magazine malfunctioned. The next shot, heart and lung shot, finished the job okay, and I did go out and pick it up. I must say I like the zoom on the Alpex 4K. It's very smooth. I don't have it on continuous zoom. I find that bit slow, having to turn the knob so far. But the incremental zoom works really well. And despite the level of magnification, even on 28 times, there's very little pixelation. Fairly typical behaviour when they've been shot. They don't always thrash around as much as this, but it's simply the central nervous system shutting down. I had a bit of trouble finding that squirrel at the end of the session because it was buried quite deeply underneath the leaves on the ground. think this one might be aware that I'm sitting there in the hide. I'm using my big pop-up hide. It's got quite a big envelope to it, and the entrance that I'm shooting through is quite large. But standing by the feeder, it's quite dark inside, so they may not see me in there. The key is not to move around too much. If you do have to move, then it has to be slow and considered. Then they don't seem to react too much. I think animals like squirrels are more attuned to movement anyway. So if you do take everything steadily, they don't seem to notice you. Usually on this feeder, the squirrels come in from the right hand side where there's a lot of coppice hazels. But today, the majority seem to be coming in from the left. There's a track that runs down to where I parked the car, and I saw a number of squirrels there as I walked up, so that's not surprising. Now this squirrel's very unusual. It appears to have the mange. You can see it's got no fur around its eyes, and there's a bald patch on it. Never seen that before. May not be the mange, perhaps it's simply succumbing to squirrel pox, although grey squirrels are, generally speaking, immune to it. Pretty unpleasant looking though. In all other respects, it seemed quite healthy. It was bounding around on the ground as it came over, and was quite lithe as it climbed the tree and got into the feeder. Perhaps it was just having a bad hair day. Doesn't take them long to learn to lift that little flap over the feeder. I quickly learnt that if I didn't put that on when I was using peanuts, the tits, the woodpeckers, etc., would very quickly empty the feeder. They were almost queuing up to eat the peanuts. Once again, I'm using the BSA Ultra that's been fairly heavily modded. It's running at 11.9 foot-pounds, 0.177 JSB pellets. It's very good for this. If you're putting up a feeder for squirrels, it's always a good idea to put a branch or something else that will enable the squirrels to climb up to the feeder rather than come up the tree trunk. Yeah, sometimes it can just be a bit of branch, or sometimes it'll be just a bit of brush. Doesn't really matter what it is, it just seems to encourage them to go straight up to the feeder rather than mess around on the ground. He's a well hung boy. One advantage of using the peanuts rather than the wheat I used to use is that it does take the squirrel a bit longer to eat it, so you get a little bit longer to take the shot. Downside is peanuts are expensive and wheat is cheap. In fact, it used to be free because I just used to take it from the squirrel feeders. Not squirrel feeders, the pheasant feeders. But the chute's been closed down, so that option is no longer available to me. Thought that one might need a second shot, but didn't take long to expire. Not all the squirrels I saw actually came into the feeder. There's a water meadow just behind the fence line. You can just about pick out there, and I could see some squirrels going along the top of the fence line and in the field itself, and they were not interested in the feeder at all. Whether they came along later, I don't know, but I certainly saw 4 or 5 more out there which didn't appear to come into the feeder. Well, there we are, a baker's dozen plus one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.